The Minister of Education, Olatunji Alausa, has called for an extension of the National Youth Service Corps scheme from 1 year to 2 years. This is with a view to enhance the NYSC program, particularly its skills acquisition and entrepreneurship development training to meet contemporary reality of Nigerians. The proposed 2 year training program will ensure core members learn a particular skill to the fullest and create more jobs after the service year instead of adding to Nigeria's stretched out labor market. This and more will be our focus on Nigeria today. Thanks for joining us. I am Eukaria Clinton. Now with me in the studio for the conversation is Dr. Philip Hayat. He's an educationist. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria today.
Thank you for having me.
Also with us in the studio is Comrade Oman Dave. He's a communication consultant, BESTA program. He's also technical consultant, Al-Majri and Out of School. He's also a resource person, Callistus Juma Executive on Science, Technology and Innovation. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria today.
My pleasure.
Let me start with you, Oman. What do what is your perception about this proposed extension of service year?
Just like I nod my head. Beautiful implementation. Well, it's a welcome development, but it's unfortunate I don't buy into it. Just like other programs that have been coming on board, have you done a need analysis on all of this? Have you done a research? Have you taken out time to find out what is the 4-year program, does it really count in the course of student graduating? The strikes in between that happens in between. What happens afterward? Are you taking that into cognizance? Don't forget, we have 30 years for those that actually go out for NYSC, isn't it? So what happens in between? Now you are extending it to 2 years to do what? To impact skills of the Nigerian students or the Nigerian people or populace or students as it were. As beautiful as it looks, the question is, while they are introduced that for students to actually get the knowledge, what have they achieved in the 1 year? If you do an analysis on that, it gives you an insight on what to do. An extension of the term doesn't really matter. Now, take for instance, somebody that hadn't learned anything from primary through secondary throughout the university year, he's just left with 1 year to leave the university. You want him to stay back and learn skills? Yes, as good as it looks. The question is, it is the interest. This man that you want him to learn, is he ready to learn? He's almost at the departure lounge of the university environment, or environment as it were. Is he ready to learn what he wants to learn? It is one thing to force him to learn. It's another thing for him to take it up to the later. Because if you say take, and I say, well, I'm just taking it because you had forced me, but when I come out, I do what I want to do. So if there's interest, and afterwards, the environment, the ambience, the Nigerian economy, ease of doing business, is it good enough? Who gives him startup packs? Who encourages him? Is the environment, the economic environment, is it permissible for him to actually operate? If it does, how?
Thank you very much, Oman. So, Dr. Philip, you heard what Oman said there. So, give us your view on this proposed extension?
Yeah, thank you. When I read the proposal, I think 2 days ago, is it? The first question I asked is that from whose perspective? I think one of the biggest problems that I've got, I see in the education subsector in Nigeria, particularly from ministers of education, is that they do not understand to a large extent the pulse. Yeah, because yes, extending NYSC for 2 years so that people can learn the skill, that is fine. But when it comes to learning a skill, as Oman has said, it's about the interest. For instance, I studied English, and then I have my skill, for instance, is to build my capacity in my area of study and not to be a craftsman, not to be a carpenter, not to be a trader or an entrepreneur. And then I go for NYC and you say I should stay for 2 years. So the question would be, what craft then is linked to my areas or my area of study, my discipline? So I would have expected, and this should go very strong to the people concerned, that anytime you want to bring out a policy, you would do well to undertake a needs assessment. Do a research among those current co-members serving, those prospective co-members. Somebody said recently, and from what I know, when you talk to certain young people, they tell you, oh, we're waiting for service. Now, so we have a pool of young people in their millions, maybe, in this country, waiting to be called up to go and serve. And to a large extent, if we're going to be realistic, I think the NYC is beginning to lose the very characteristic, the very objective, the goals of why it was even established in the first place. The few days or weeks they stay now in the camp is not enough to teach them any serious thing. The other concern is that you have co-members who have no any basics in terms of teaching and learning, and you deploy them to the classroom without any form of training. So when they go to schools, if they are not supported by anybody, they are likely to be learning how to teach for the first 1 year. So there is a lot. I would say that with this kind of proposal, let the minister pause and then do a needs assessment. And if possible, if there's going to be any extension, it should be open that those people who are entrepreneurs, those people who wish to learn, who have a skill, that they wish to develop it to a point that they would be self-employed, should apply when they are already mobilized. And they say, okay, I would like to serve for 2 years. From what I gathered, when the National Youth Service Corps was established, it was actually patterned after what is obtainable in Israel. In Israel, you actually do the mandatory service before you become what they call a senior citizen. So anybody who does not do this preliminary mandatory 2 years for females and 3 for males is never going to be seen as a senior citizen in the course of the year or of their lives. In Nigeria, we do know, we shouldn't pretend that there are those who go for NYC, report to CAM, after CAM, get their get their postings, and they will never show up until the day of POP they come back. So if you have a system that this porous, you have people collecting letters from hospitals saying that they are ill, and all these loopholes, you've not even dealt with this, and then the next thing is you are extending.
Okay.
Then we'll even forget that we have a core member, and then the core member comes back after 2 years.
Okay, let me. I'll stop here, Dr. Philip. Now back to you. Of course, we've seen over the years where core members, during the course of their service, they learn some skills, and when they come out, they create jobs. They are not thrown out there in the market, in the labor market, to search for job. Don't you think that giving them maybe more years, we make them perfect, bring them, give them more time to be, will I say, better at what they do? And maybe when they come out there, they even create opportunity for others to even create jobs for people instead of them looking for jobs.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Do you give what you didn't ask for? 2 things are involved. There should be a process, a filtration process. Who wants to do this? There must be interest. I want to go for business. You've not done the feasibility study for business, and you just garbage into business. As you go in, you come out. Sustainability of the business is what makes the business.
Now, are you saying that it should be optional?
No, yeah, it should be optional, because as much as it is that good. Now, what are we churning out as graduates in our universities in the first place? A teacher who is teaching, in the first place, does he have this technical know-how? Is he able to manipulate and play with the system or the computer that we're talking about today? Does he know it? You don't give what you don't have. In the first place, students firstly should be exposed on either business or entrepreneurial or innovations, as it were. The world is moving, and we need to move with the world. The method of teaching, my colleague here is an educationist and is very passionate about impacting and making sure that people get what they deserve to get. Now, you don't have it yourself. What are you giving to the other one? You don't give what you don't have. Now, by the time you begin to teach, take for instance, I did physical and health in my secondary school because I loved the way the teacher was gesticulating, dancing, doing stuff, because I loved the way he was teaching. He made sure he attracted people to him. Some teachers are bully. Now, I want to go into business. Having understood the trend, the economy of Nigeria, and known that, okay, fine, it is good to study all of this, but I should do this because I have the interest. If you don't have the interest, you don't go into it. Now, if you make it, I was in one of their workshops, so let me delve a little bit. I was in one of these workshops, skill acquisition, entrepreneurship, skill acquisition side is an NYSC stuff, and a lot of projections were given. And I asked them, a university graduate that goes to school and ends a first class, he's given what? A laptop and 100,000 naira. And the child that goes to one of these big program all of us rush to our televisions to watch is a big, I don't want to advertise them here. You know, they go there, they roam around, after 3 months or thereabout, they come out. They are given millions. They are sent on overseas trip. They buy houses for them. They buy cars for them. Please, for goodness sake, prioritize your needs. If you, as a mother, was to have a child, where will you send the child to? If the child was a graduate, where do you think that child will go to? Graduate and get 100,000 naira and a laptop, or graduate and go to that house and stay for 3 months and get a trip to Trinidad and Tobago, a trip and get the finest vehicle, or live in a posh house, or live better. Where will you go to? Prioritize your needs. As much as skillship is good, let the student begin to know that, okay, fine, this is it. Prepare them. Don't forget we had technical schools when we were growing up. Let the student begin to know that, okay, by the time they understand that, okay, a country cannot grow without innovation or skillship or entrepreneurs. You have to develop them by their own, for themselves, by themselves. Will begin to develop to say, oh, if I own my business, I'm a boss of my own, I can control my resources. If this man goes to the university and he finishes university, works for 30 years, it's possible that within that 30 years, I might make my money, my millions in the first 15 for 10 years, depending on what I'm into. His interest is built up. Now he wants to learn a skill. Then you begin to explore such an opportunity. And when the child goes into such a business, he goes with his mind, with his head, his heart, his hands, and his shoulders high to run such a business.
Yeah. Now, back to you, Dr. Philip. Now, of course, I know you've said, from what I gathered, it's not, you don't really see it as a welcome development. You don't see this proposal for it to be extended. You should just leave it at the 1 year. However, if should this maybe this proposal, see the light of the day, some experts are saying, given the Nigeria's economic realities, how can these kind of extension be funded?
Yes. So why I am skeptical about the program is that I do not have any empirical study that has shown how much the 1 year NYSC has actually, as it is today, contributed to Nigeria's economy. Nigeria's, that is the core members' employability. I work in a place where I interact with most of these graduates who come as core members, and then you see their zeal to work, you see their commitment. It's not there. You actually know that it's just a phase. Let me just pass by this phase and then move to the next phase. Now, with such kind of outlook towards the NYSC service year, and then you extend it, then we're going to have more. We're going to have more, maybe a kind of I don't care attitude to it, and we'll just be wasting money. What I do, I've actually done this kind of thinking before to say the money that is budgeted to be spent for one person to go for NYSC in a whole year if that money were to be given to graduates at the point of graduation based on whatever business proposals they have, within the first 1 year, they would have gone up. I read the story of a co-member who was serving in a state, and then one day he went, according to the story, there was a woman who used to fry fish, and people would go there, and he decided to start frying the fish, and afterwards he finished NYC, went back home somewhere in the southwest, and continued, and today he has employed people. That one didn't have to go through any program by the federal government. The person actually had the zeal and the reasoning. So that is the point that Omang is making. The problem of interest. People cannot make it in anything in this world when their interest is not there. What I do think is that most of our youth who are in the university, who are preparing to go for NYC, or those who are serving, the chunk of them, I would say maybe more than 60%, do not actually bother about anything. It's just a phase. Let me pass through this phase and then move on. For those who want to go to pursue higher education, now where is their place in this skill? Because higher education, so I finished from the university, I want to serve, and then proceed to do a master's, a PhD. How do you place me? So my candid advice would be that, and this should be the protocol, that in any developed or developing country, one of the best ways that policies have come, they have come as a result of empirical research. I think we're playing politics with the future of people, either to make a name for ourselves or for a government. I've often said that policies that are created by any government would outlive the government. But once these policies are created with a good intention, good objectives, and not for name making, like the NYC itself, thanks to the military government, after so many years, we've not even reviewed to see whether this thing is working, this thing is not working. The so-called, you go to the next state where you've not been to serve, and then many people don't go to any state. We have more NYC co-members in Abuja than we have in other states. Many co-members end up serving in their own states because they forge medical reports. This is a country. How can you have a medical report of an ailment, and then one day you're supposed you go even for short service to become a military press personnel? See, we are joking with the country, and I hate to see things that have to do with the future of the development of our country being toyed with by politics. I would suggest that if you have an entrepreneurial program, you want to extend the NYCs, let's allow it to be on selective basis. People who have, like we have the national, the scholarship scheme now, what is it called? The loan scheme that the government has introduced. Very fantastic program. Let people apply. So anyone who wants to serve for 2 years, let them apply. If possible, for another 4 years, let them apply. So long as people willingly apply, they are going to do well. But if you force it on the throat of these young people, I am sure there's going to be another budget expansion, which is likely not going to come home with any benefit.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Philip. We are going to take a breather here. The conversation will continue after the break. Don't go away.
Implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under a digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different? We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Welcome back. In case you are just joining us, this is Nigeria Today. We're looking at the proposed extension of the NYSC service year. And of course, I have with me in the studio two gentlemen. Our Comrade Omang, of course, Dr. Philip has said quite a lot about, why this shouldn't be. But then, are there alternative ways, you think, alternative ways to reform the NYSC, without really extending the service year?
Okay, thank you very much. Take a look at this. It's a one-year program, as it were. Having identified those students that are interested in extending or wanting to acquire skills, because no nation can grow in just a civil setting without getting some elements of its citizens into entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology, as it were. Having said this, for those students that are sincerely serious to inculcate or to inhibit or to practice the idea of skillship or acquire skills, after 1 year, there should be a follow-up. The fact that you're graduating doesn't mean that your program has ended. We have the apprenticeship in Nigeria we call the Nwa Boy. Why is the Igbo man succeeding no matter wherever he finds himself? He understands the mechanism, what they call the inner house. You know, in the cell they have the powerhouse, the mitochondria. Is a powerhouse that generates and all of those things. The Igbo man understands the business setting. So if the man understands and not being in a hurry, after graduation, the setting still follows you up. That's what I told them in that scheme. The setting follows you up, monitoring you, possibly promoting you with small grants or loans or something, monitoring and keep monitoring you, eventually getting you starter packs. It is one thing to finish with somebody. It's another thing to say, okay, we graduated 5,000 students. Out of the 5,000 students, 3 were successful, or 1,000 were successful, and 3 actually had this, and 2 could not pick up. Now, what they do is they follow them up, following them up until they eventually start up their own businesses.
I'll have to stop you here, Comrade Oman. So allow Dr. Philip
Okay.
to give us your own recommendation of what else can be done, to make the NYSC better, rather than extending the service here.
Yeah, what I believe is that we need to do a revalidation of what we have at the moment. Has he actually helped us to build a united Nigeria where people leave the West to go to the North? I would say to a large extent no, because I see we still live with the old prejudices that we had even before the Civil War. So we need to check that, and then maybe, if you like, revise the curriculum that we teach at the university, because prejudice is something that you can actually teach a person to get to live. We don't seem to even talk about our past as a country and where the errors were and what we need to correct. So I would rather ask that the minister focuses on how the current educational system curriculum should be repositioned to capture the realities. Second, if you are going to encourage entrepreneurship, let it be that people who merit it, people who are interested, be given the opportunity. My real question is that, well, I've read what the minister said. I'm not sure whether it was captured entirely. Is there going to be a funding given to these people who acquire these skills by the end of the 2 years? If there's no takeoff grant, people can learn skill and they won't have any money to start up any businesses. And that might be another additional 2 years wasted, plus the one that strikes and others would have affected the graduates at the university. So we need to do a more, I would say we need to give it a profound analysis, and then we will see what is doable and what is not doable.
And Comrade Oman, your parting words?
Policies are good, but take our time to research, taking the realities on ground, like Dr. Hayab had said, into cognizance. Where are we? An assessment of where we intend to go. Don't just be in a hurry to just garbage in, because as you go in, you come out. So when that is done, we will actually get at somewhere to say, okay, this is what is good and this is what is. Not just taking everything you just see. Take some, leave some, come back to the populace, do an analysis, do an in-depth research. It will help you, rather than just rushing in, because as you rush in, there's every likelihood that you will rush out.
Thank you very much. This is where we, draw the curtain on Nigeria today. A very big thank you to Comrade Oman Dave. He's a communication consultant, Best Star Program, technical consultant at Marjorie and Auto School. Thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing your perspective with us.
My pleasure.
Also, we had Dr. Philip Hayab, an educationist. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I'm Ikeria Clinton. Goodbye.